Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the Economic Ninja. And I watched one of his videos last night that I'm going to share a short clip with you, but I'm going to leave the link to that video on a pinned comment so that you can go check it out. I highly recommend it because the Economic Ninja is saying on this video exactly what I was thinking, but he put it in words and I didn't. But this is a message that needs to be heard.
This is about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Right now, you are literally a part of the greatest scheme ever. Right now, if you are watching this or you clicked on this because it was about Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, you are being fooled at a level that you can't even begin to fathom. You are about to experience inflation in a way that you have never seen it before. If you think this is fear, if a fear mongering, you're nuts. If you lost your house back in 2008, it was because you fell for the exact same things. And the reason why I did this video is because I just saw a live stream where, I mean, it's all over the news. This Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, and people are just glued to it, like the Golden Globes and all that crap with this hand slap. Like, it blows my mind that is what most people are choosing right now to watch when your entire financial future, and I am not joking, literally is hanging in the balance because you're about to experience not only inflation, but stagflation, where you have high inflation and high unemployment, and then hyperinflation. We will see hyperinflation in this country, in the United States, and around the world.
And it's an illusion, ladies and gentlemen. It is what the powers that be use to keep you asleep, to keep you walking around with your eyes wide shut. Just as we have illusion within the media, within the government, with their propaganda, we have the illusion of freedom. And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, AP, this has nothing to do about prepping. Well, I would say that it has everything to do about prepping. To me, preparedness is about freedom, about having the freedom of choice when times are at their worst. It's about being able to say, no, I'm not going to do this, Mr. or Mrs. Government, because I can feed my family and I don't need the bread that you're handing out to us, the peasants, as you sit in your ivory towers and eat steak. It's all an illusion, ladies and gentlemen. We create what is our own realities. And the way in which we create that reality is by what we are willing to believe and to not believe. So it is up to you to come to the conclusion that you are being lied to at a massive level, that you are being deceived. And it must be divine intervention, ladies and gentlemen, because when things need to be said and heard, I seem to find these articles which articulate what I'm thinking so much better than the way that I can say it. And this article is by Mr. and Mrs. Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute. And what it talks about is how you are being lied to, how it is that you think, how we think that we are free when we really are not. And don't get me wrong, many people don't want to be free. They cannot handle freedom. But for those of us that want to be free, that want to live a peaceful life, providing for ourselves and our families, just those basic things that we need in order to be happy and live fruitful lives. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom is everything. And here they start off by saying, rights aren't rights if someone can take them away. And isn't that the truth? That pretty much covers the whole article. And ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this video is not going to be part of YouTube's algorithm. They are not going to recommend this video. And I almost never ask this, but share this video. Maybe it will wake someone up. I will leave the link to this article and the original article in the pinned comment that I'll leave down below, along with the Economic Ninja's video that I just referenced. So share it. People need to understand what is going on. Remember the O.J. Simpson trial? Remember that fiasco that happened? When was it? Back in the 90s sometime? That's everything that everyone could talk about during that time, including myself. That is everything that everyone could talk about. But do you wonder now what was going on behind the scenes? They are privileges. That's all we've ever had in this country, is a bill of temporary privileges. And if you read the news even badly, you know that every year the list gets shorter and shorter. And I talked about how many laws there are that have been passed by government. Over 300,000 laws collectively over the United States of America. Federal, state, local. Over 300,000. 22,000 alone that cover the Second Amendment. Sooner or later, the people in this country are going to realize the government doesn't care about you, or your children, or your rights, or your welfare, or safety. It's interested in its own power. That's the only thing, keeping it and expanding it whenever possible. And this is a quote by George Carlin. I just realized this right now. I thought this was a quote from the authors of this article, but this was a quote from George Carlin. And for those of you that are a little older like I am, you know exactly who George Carlin is. For years now, the government has been playing a cat and mouse game with the American people, letting us enjoy just enough freedom to think we are free, but not enough to actually allow us to live as a free people. And please excuse me for cutting in all the time, but when things come to my mind, I have to express it. And it's just like the real ID cards. You know those real ID cards that you need now, I think as of October of this year coming in 2022, that you're going to need in order to travel within the United States. In order to travel by air within the United States, you're going to need this real ID. Unless I'm mistaken and they extended the time frame again, because I know they've extended it a couple of times because there were certain states that were holding out saying, no, we're not doing this. But I think that they've all succumbed to the powers of the centralized government. Why in the world do we need those real IDs? Our country has run just fine without them for decades, for hundreds of years. And as the government is telling us, you need this little piece of plastic with your identification and everything that we can know about you on it in order to travel from here to there, our southern borders are pretty much open to anyone and everyone that wants to come in. Ladies and gentlemen, if that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what is. They continue to say, case in point, on the same day that the U.S. Supreme Court appeared inclined to favor a high school football coach's right to pray on the field after a game, the High Court let stand a lower court ruling that allows police to warrantlessly track people's location and movements through their personal cell phones, sweeping Americans up into a massive digital data dragnet that does not distinguish between those who are innocent of wrongdoing, suspects, or criminals. But AP, I have nothing to hide. I don't do anything wrong. Neither do I, ladies and gentlemen. I pretty much live in a very small world. My world probably revolves around a 20-mile radius, if that. That's how I like it. Why does anyone in government need to know when I go to Costco? Why do they need to know when I take my pup over to Petco to get her nails done? They don't. But they do. If you do something today that's legal, that 10 years from now is considered illegal, then they can bring that back up and have it used against you. It's been done before, ladies and gentlemen. Why in the world would anyone say it's okay for anyone to track you? Have you ever gone home from the supermarket and someone followed you? Did you think that was okay? No. But nowadays, a police officer can pull you over, okay? And this is nothing against Leos. Unfortunately, many Leos do not have the constitutional education to understand that some of the orders, if not most of the orders that they are following, are unconstitutional. But today, you can be driving to work and you can have $500. I'll use $300 because this happened to someone that I know in New York. You can be driving home with $300 in your wallet, in your purse, in your car's console, and you can be pulled over for anything. And if that police officer searches your vehicle, with or without your consent, and they find that $300, as little as $300, they can confiscate it and say, we suspect that this money was used in dealings that were illegal. And then it would be up to you, ladies and gentlemen, to prove your innocence. Isn't that the exact opposite of what due process is, which is in our Constitution? Likewise, although the Supreme Court gave the go-ahead for a death row inmate to have his pastor audibly pray and lay hands on him in the execution chamber, it refused to stop police from using hidden cameras to secretly and warrantlessly record and monitor a person's activities outside their home over an extended period of time. For those who have been paying attention, there is a curious pattern emerging. The government appears reasonably tolerant of those who want to exercise their First Amendment rights in a manner that doesn't challenge the police state's hold on power. So say whatever you want, but as long as you don't challenge my authority, go ahead. On the other hand, dare to disagree with the government about its war on crimes like this health crisis, elections outcomes, or police brutality, and you'll find yourself silenced, cited, shut down, and or branded an extremist. And ladies and gentlemen, I've been saying for a long time that eventually prepper channels will be taken away, will be taken off of YouTube or social media. Why? Because eventually the government will have the narrative that people who prepare are hoarders and are evil. Eventually, people who prepare are evil. Doomsday preppers. They did that little hit piece. I think it was CNBC that called it Doomsday Preppers. Why couldn't they say preparedness-minded Americans? Why couldn't they say something that sounded positive? But no, ladies and gentlemen, they will turn this against us, we the people, because that is what they do. That is how they preserve power, by ganging us up against each other, by making you hate me and trying to make me hate you. But they'll never make me hate you, because like I said, I am the captain of my own reality. The U.S. government is particularly intolerant of speech that reveals the government's corruption, exposes government lies, and encourages the citizenry to push back against the government's many injustices. And there are so many things that the U.S. government has done that is so unjust in our name that in itself should be a crime. But we can't talk about it, or will be labeled unpatriotic. It's patriotic to the government that we pay higher gas taxes so that other countries can be free, right? Quote unquote. But it's not patriotic for us to criticize our governments so that we the people here, can retain our liberties. It's what they want. It's not what it's about for them. For them, it's about keeping power. For them, it's about being in control, what we do, for our own good, ladies and gentlemen. It's for our own good, believe it. They say here that we are in trouble, folks. Freedom no longer means what it once did. This holds true whether you're talking about the right to criticize the government in word or deed, the right to be free from government surveillance, the right not to have your person or your property subjected to warrantless searches by government agents, the right to due process, the right to be safe from police invading your home, the right to be innocent until proven guilty, and every other right that once reinforced the founders' belief that this would be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's no longer that, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't been that in a long time. Not only do we no longer have dominion over our bodies, our families, our property, and our lives, but the government continues to chip away what few rights we still have to speak freely and think for ourselves. We are being played for fools. On paper, we may be technically free on paper alone, ladies and gentlemen, but in reality, we are only as free as a government official may allow. The only true sovereign citizens in this nation, ladies and gentlemen, are government officials, are those that can break the laws that they write without being persecuted. Those are the only true sovereign citizens. Think about that. We only think we live in a constitutional republic, governed just by laws created for our benefit. Truth be told, we live in a dictatorship disguised as a democracy, where all that we own, all that we earn, all that we say and do, our very lives depend on the benevolence of government agents and corporate shareholders for whom profit and power will always trump principle. And isn't that the truth? And now the government is litigating and legislating its way into a new framework where the dictates of petty bureaucrats carry greater weight than the inalienable rights of the citizenry. With every court ruling that allows the government to operate above the rule of law, every piece of legislation that limits our freedom, and every act of government wrongdoing that goes unpunished, we are slowly being conditioned to a society in which we have little real control over our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, I've often talked about cycles, and usually the lifespan of a nation is usually around 250 years or so. And we have come upon that 250 years or so. We're very close to it, if not. What was it, 1776, and we're in 2022, so we're just a few short years away from realizing that 250-year mark. And this is what happens every time. Society starts out as being free, a republic, where government is in place to protect your liberties so that you can be free, because freedom is the one thing that generates the most prosperity in the world. Any civilization that's ever been free has always prospered. But then with that freedom comes choices, and people eventually choose to allow government to become bigger so that they can take from others what is not theirs. And then government uses the power of the vote in order to take from this group, give to this group, and eventually create a class that is subservient to the government as long as they get what the government can take from others. We don't live in a republic. Like this gentleman and this missus here said, maybe on paper we do. And I would say that we don't even live in a democracy. Because do you really think, deep down inside, do you really think that your vote counts? That's what I'm prepping for, ladies and gentlemen. I'm prepping for my family first and foremost. But I'm prepping so that I can be free from the dictates of government, or at least as free as I can be from the dictates of government. Because eventually it will come to a point where that 250-year cycle will play itself out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to come with a lot of misery, a lot of sorrow. And like the economic ninja stated in the clip that I put here, we are being bamboozled. Paraphrasing, of course. We are being smokescreened just like every other time. This video will get 5,000 views, maybe 10,000. And whoever does click on it may only watch the first 5 minutes, if that. Why? Because they rather watch Johnny Depp and whatever that lady's last name is. They rather watch their trial because there's nothing more important to talk about than that. Just like O.J. Simpson that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to go ahead and leave the link to this article again and the link to the video for the Economic Ninja. I'll also leave it in a card in the upper right hand corner that you can click on to go right to it if you like. I recommend that you go watch it. And listen, if you're not subscribed to Economic Ninja, man, go ahead and subscribe. I've been subscribed to him for about a year or so. And he's awesome, man. Really good guy who really likes to help people. And, you know, he's got a plan. But I'll let you go and figure that out. You know, go click on this video, check him out, and subscribe if you support what he's doing. But ladies and gentlemen, wake up. It is time that we take back first our sovereignty. And the way that we take that back first is by being prepared. So that when the day comes where the government says, I'll give you this loaf of bread if you give up even more of your liberties, you can have a choice. It's all about choices. And you have a choice to make. Do you want to be free, or do you want to be a slave for the rest of my life? Well, I can tell you what I want, but I'm pretty sure you already know. God bless every one of you.